Hey everybody, Jack Moffett here with Black Fox Productions with another vlog post. In this vlog post, we're going to be talking to people that are looking for a wedding videographer. Up until this point, we've largely been talking to professionals in the industry, people that are looking to get into it or do it professionally. This time we're going to be going in the reverse. And if you're a couple out there looking for a wedding videographer, I think that you couldn't do any better than Black Fox Productions and booking us. Okay, just kidding. But basically this vlog is going to be how to pick a wedding videographer for you. Some people consider the video a not so important part of their wedding, but if you think that you want something to keep for years to come, that you want to look back on, there are some moments that video can capture that photography, in my opinion, can't. So if you're looking for a wedding videographer, here are 7 tips to help you kind of pick the right one for you. There are a lot of wedding videographers out there, and kind of take your time to find the right one for you. So here, let's go ahead and dive right in and get into the tips. Tip number 1 is look at other examples of wedding videos, and they're all over the internet. Hop on YouTube, look at examples of other wedding videos from other couples that they've done, and kind of find a wedding video that really says, oh, you know, that's me. You go, oh wow, I really like that. I want one just like it. This is also extremely helpful whenever you're going to a wedding videographer, because you want an example in hand to say, hey, I kind of want this style. The prevailing, most common style these days is cinematic and epic. That's a style that I myself like to use, but it may not be for you. So anyway, go ahead and find an example of a video that you like, and you'll be that much more prepared when you actually find the videographer that you want to use. Tip number 2 is decide on a budget. So this is probably the biggest decision that you're going to have to make throughout this entire process, but it's really helpful if you go ahead and decide on a budget before you ever start searching for a wedding videographer. So when it comes to wedding videography, the prices can vary very wildly. Some videographers only charge $500. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, on the very high end, there are some wedding videographers that charge $10,000 just for the base package of their video. So it can vary a lot. Take your time to really think about how much you're willing to spend. And something to keep in mind is that when it comes to wedding videography, often how much you're willing to spend directly correlates with the quality of the video that you're going to get. In other words, you get what you pay for. It's a lot like a lot of other services or products. The more that you're willing to spend, probably the better the video will be. There are some exceptions to that, but as a general rule, kind of keep that in mind, is that, you know, if you only want to spend you know, $200, you're probably not going to get a very good video. Just something to keep in mind whenever you're going shopping. Tip number 3 is research your wedding videographer very thoroughly. And this is kind of like what you do whenever you search for any other products or services whenever you're Googling someone. Take your time to really look through all the vendors. You can go to search engine vendor websites like Wedding Wire, The Knot. It'll even narrow it down for you by region. So what you can do is you can hop on websites like that and take a look at some of the videographers on there, and often one will kind of stick out to you. So look at their reviews. Are they well reviewed? Do they have other examples of wedding videos on their site? All these things are things to take into consideration whenever you are looking for a wedding videographer. And often what you'll have happen is you'll be looking through and you'll go, oh, well, they look just right. They look about like what I'm looking for. They're in my budget. You know, they don't necessarily have to be in your region. There are a lot of wedding videographers that are willing to travel. So just because someone is, you know, halfway across the country, you don't have to roll them out. You might have to pay like a travel fee or something, but what you can do is you can go, oh, well, I'll have to factor that into the budget, and that's perfectly okay. So whenever you've decided on a wedding videographer that you like, we'll move on to the next step. Tip number 4 is schedule a phone call or a video interview. So whenever you have decided on a videographer that you like, go ahead and reach out to them. You can start with a simple email and you can say, hey, are you available on this date? This is my budget. Those are probably the biggest details that you need to let them know. And just say, hey, can we hop on a phone call with you real quick? Can we do a quick Zoom call or something like that, just to get the ball rolling? And this is something that I consider a pretty big deal, but you want to make sure that your personalities are a little bit matched up. Because first of all, you don't want to be having a real hard to deal with videographer. You want somebody that's going to work with you really well. And if you're the couple that is wanting something that's really bold and creative and a completely different video or whatever you might be looking for, then in that example, you would want to make sure that you find videographers that are willing to take risks, that aren't afraid to go, hey, let's try something completely new that's never been done before. And that can be a little hard to find, but they are out there. So that's just something to keep in mind whenever you're searching for a wedding videographer, is, find somebody that matches personality-wise with you, that can really work well with you and is going to make your life a lot easier, because you're going to be going through a lot of stress throughout this whole process, and you don't want to be dealing with a difficult videographer. I mean, I know that sounds obvious, but you want somebody that is going to work with you. So make sure you take the time to really kind of get to know them a little bit, kind of like almost like you're doing a job interview. You being the employer and they're the employee in that example. So take your time, find somebody that is the right match for you. Tip number 5 is tell the videographers as much as you possibly can about what you're wanting or not wanting. So if there are certain details that you're wanting in your video, for example, you want first looks with dad or anything like that, make sure you tell them this very early on. And go ahead and communicate that to them. You want to give them as many details about what you're wanting as much as you possibly can. Give them as many details as you possibly can to let them know what you're wanting in your video. Now, there are some couples who will simply say, hey, we don't care about anything during the day. You handle it completely. You just go crazy, do what you want, just make it look good. That's cool. That's perfectly fine. You can do that with some videographers and just let them go nuts. And I've had some couples that have done that, and the videos actually turned out really well. So if that's something that you're wanting or not wanting, go ahead and communicate that early on. And typically your videographer, if there's something that is realistic or not realistic, they'll voice it to you, or they should. They should say, hey, this is realistic, we can get it done, that's no problem. If it's not technically possible, then they'll say, look, I'm really sorry, but that's outside the scope of our services. We can't really do that. You want a videographer that's really going to level with you and be very transparent throughout this entire process. If they think that something isn't realistic or they can't do it, they should voice that to you. Conversely, if every request that you make and they say, oh, I can't do that, 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 that's not good either. You want a videographer that is going to work with you, and you don't want somebody that's gonna just deny your every request. I mean, this is your video. We want to get what you want. That's the goal. So anyway, try to find a videographer that is going to work with you, and then give them as many details as you can about what you're wanting. Tip number 6 is provide as many logistical details to your videography team as you possibly can. So details about, first and foremost, they're probably going to want to know, where's your venue located? When is your wedding date? Those are probably the biggest two right there. And also, this is enormously helpful. I can't even describe to you how helpful it is. Tell them who your wedding planner is and give them contact info for your wedding planner. Because in my case, I always talk to the wedding planner about what shots I'm wanting, and that is something that is just beyond helpful. You're going to make your videography team so much happier if you go ahead and provide that information right up front. So provide them as many logistics as you can, and that's going to help them so much more. Tip number 7, be ready to sign a contract and put down a deposit. So after you have decided on the videographer, the next step that they're going to take with you, once you've decided on the date, they're all good to go, they're going to probably send you a contract to sign. And in that contract, it will go over the details of the services that they're going to render for you, delivery dates, or, the remainder of your deposit or of your fee will be due upon delivery of the video. Whatever that entails, you're probably going to have to sign a contract and put down a deposit to secure their shooting with you. This is very standard in the industry. Don't let it worry you. You're not going to be signing your life away in these contracts. Usually they're pretty simple. They will say something to the effect of, we are going to be providing this video to you at this rate, and that's really the gist of it. You're not going to be, signing over to make sure you buy them a Lamborghini or something. You're not going to have to worry about that. Usually mine in particular is like a one-pager. It's not very complicated, but just be ready for that whenever you get to that last step. Okay, so that's it for the vlog post for today. I hope you found these tips useful, and good luck in picking out a wedding videographer. Congratulations on your awesome day that's upcoming, and all the best of luck to you.